All right, sweet. Let's go ahead and use our custom component with JSX. So let's switch over here. Now, we're using React Create Element calls. And if you recall, we did the same thing earlier with React Create Element, div, and then we pass our props and our children, and so on and so forth. So if I'm just looking at this and I'm looking at this and thinking, okay, I can convert that to div with children right there, right? So that's my UI. This is my JS UI, and here's maybe my JSX UI. Sweet. Okay, so those two are exactly the same. So if I wanted to convert this, we had our hello element with the React Create Element API, and I wanted my hello JSX, or whatever you would want to call that, then we're going to take the first thing, the first type, we'll do an open angle bracket, and then message. Well, I need to find some way to put the message there, so we'll just do that, I guess. And then our children right there, hello world. Okay, we can do that. Hello world. We'll just insert that and then say message. Okay, so that seems pretty reasonable. Those, conversions sort of make sense. So let's get rid of that. We'll get rid of this, and I'm gonna just put this in place of this one. Okay, so hopefully that sort of makes sense. And we see the result looks good. We see hello world, goodbye world. If we look at our body and our container, and oh, no, we're not getting our class message applied here. So yeah, we're not rendering a div, we're rendering a message. And actually, if we take a look at the console, we're gonna see a warning. It says the tag message is unrecognized in this browser. If you meant to render a React component, start its name with an uppercase letter. Oh, okay. Oh, that's super helpful. We'll take a look at that here in just a sec. But before we look at that, let's look at the what Babel compiled this code into. Okay, so we'll go to our head into the script, which holds the JavaScript that Babel created for us. And we have our message here. We're creating a React Create Element div. That's exactly what we want. That's awesome. We got that div here. And then here's the problem. We're saying React Create Element message in quotes. And then the one that is still just our own code, we see React Create Element message out of quotes. So we need to have some mechanism to tell Babel, hey, listen, instead of putting this in quotes, I actually want you to pass it as a reference to the function. Okay, so those should be the same thing. And you might think, okay, well, let's put it in these curly braces, right? That should, interpolation, all of that. No, that's not going to work. What we need to do is exactly what our console warning told us, and it was, hey, start its name with an uppercase letter. So, okay, let's do uppercase message here. We'll do an uppercase message here. And then, of course, we'll want to uppercase that so that it's syntactically correct. And good, we got rid of the warning. And if we take a look at our elements now down here, and in our body, in the container, boom, it is exactly what we want. That's working splendidly. And if we look at the compiled code, we'll see our capital message here, React Create Element, capital message there. That's awesome. Okay, so what is it that's really going on here? Basically, the JSX syntax specification says that if you start an angle bracket and you provide a React element type or this element type as a capital letter, then that means it should be a reference to a variable that is in scope. Okay. And so with that, Babel just says, oh, okay, I'll just, instead of putting this thing in quotes, I'll just pass it directly. And then, the browser can manage that reference to that variable that's in scope. Okay, cool. So let's go ahead and we'll do that same thing with our message for goodbye world. And we can get rid of that. And now we can take a look at our component tree, and we have our message components right there. That's perfect. And you've got like tons of control now. You totally can do anything that you want to inside of this custom component, because it now can be reused like all over the place, anywhere where you need a div with the class name message, and then the children, whatever you pass, is working awesomely. And now that it's in JSX land, and it's like totally in JSX land, we can even nest these two things, because this is just children here, right? So now we have a message that inside of it also has a message, which is awesome. And this is exactly what we're going for when we're talking about JSX, is just a really nice declarative, clean API for creating our UIs. And the nesting is really easy. We don't have to do React Create Element and interpolate a bunch of things. It just works out super nicely in this way. So I'm really happy with this. ability that we have to create these custom components. So in review, what we did was we created a function here. We gave it a capital letter so that we can use JSX with that capital letter. And then Babel just kind of left it alone and passed it as a reference instead. And then React Create Element said, oh, you gave me a function as the type, so I'm going to go ahead and call into that to find out the other React elements that I need to create.